Greetings! Welcome to the devlog for hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. We're going to start off as always with a quick sound check. Make sure your speakers aren't up too high. Wonderful. Hey, we got the 1911 back. So what have we got for you this week? Well, we have probably the least tested alpha that I have ever pushed for this game, in part because I have migrated almost the entire game to new damage and ballistics systems, which has been a bit of a nightmare, and I have not had time to test everything. The game is just too big and has too many objects, but I wanted to go ahead and show you some of the things that have been added this week. See how our progress is going. So the first one is that because I had to recode projectiles and how a bunch of things with projectiles worked, we've got some new tracers, both in terms of how the tracer bullet itself looks, how it looks when it hits things, and impact effects. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So pretty. So that has been added in. What's actually really cool about these is that, let's pull something else out here, is that when you are firing from a distance, the tracer is actually way more visible than it used to be, which is quite handy. It basically scales as it flies through the air, making it far more easy for basically to function actually like tracers is supposed to, namely showing you where you are hitting. Here it is on, let's go AP Incendiary on these. Whoops. Unspawn lock that. There we go. Let's see how this looks. Beautiful. So pretty. So happy with them. You can even see a little flash of light when they impact. So that is operational. Along with that, I've had to basically recode everything that is explosive in the game to work with new systems. So if we come over here, spawn some new SOSIGs. One of the things that you'll notice has changed, specifically with these fellas here in explosives, is that instead of there just being this sort of radius of damage that an explosion does, we have a sort of tight one for damage and then a wider one for sort of stunning and sort of knockdown physics effect. So if I fire this about here, that one went splody beans, whereas that one got knocked into a corner and momentarily stunned. So there will now be a far wider variety of things that are happening with explosions. And you can add that physics force is powerful enough that it can, like that SOSIG actually got hobbled from that. He hit the wall so hard that his lower link got broken. Super fun. And of course, it is a little chaotic, as explosions tend to be. In addition to that, in addition to our explosions that come out of a launcher, we've got some changes to thrown objects, especially my favorite, which is the XM84 flash grenade. Let's clear out our SOSIGs, get some more. We now have essentially way more clear visualization of when they've been blinded by it. So if I pop this off, we can actually see an icon appear in their head, and that actually shows who's blinded and who isn't. It is line of sight sensitive, so if I throw this here, you'll notice that only that one actually saw the explosion and so was affected by it. I'm actually finding these are as effective as they should be for breaching a sort of new area or coming around a corner as long as you're fast. So yeah, so that's all working. We should also see, I think we've got some, I love when they spawn inside each other like that. We've got some new accessories for them. So this handsome fellow, it looks like he needs a bit of a cleanup here, has one of our new gas masks. How you doing, buddy? He's super happy about it. Come over here. Nope, that's the same one. That's the same one. Here's our second one. Ugh! He's kind of horrifying in that one. Oh, it's okay. We all can't be pretty. And I'm sure we've got, one of them has to have randomly spawned with the third one. Ah, there it is. Here we go, and our third one. I mean, not pretty by any means, but not quite as horrifying. Nicely done. Nicely done. Thanks as always to Ben Gummer for his incredible work in making all of these SOSIG accessories and clothing and the actual models for the agents themselves. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's go ahead and do what I know all of you have been waiting for, which is to actually play around with our real equipment in the new modes. So let's run over this scene. We've got something new here. We've got a player health configurer here. So if you say are demoing to a bunch of people and don't want to die like a numbskull, you can set that up to 50,000 or even 100,000. I'm going to go ahead and set up my teams asymmetrically as usual. Join Team Shot Dogs. Make sure, yep, we got a round in the chamber. We don't need, did I? Oh good, I did save this. So let's put you there. That's loaded. I'm going to put you in that pocket. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pull some pins out of some stun grenades and drop them into 2 quick belt slots. This allows me to do these as a one-hand throw. It burns a quick belt slot, and if I do spawn lock these, they won't come out with their own pins taken off. That's an intentional sort of balance decision. But it allows you to burn some quick belt slots for having some quick grenades at the ready. So let's stop yammering and get ourselves into a fight. Oh, really? I get a melee guy to start? This isn't gonna go well. He's gonna get punked. Oh, his buddy helped. Nice. Let's come up here. Oh. So into that, SOSIG. You know what? I'm gonna steal this. Put that up in my head slot. Forward! Let's throw a flash up there. Oh no! Get down! Taking fire. Doing terribly here. Some cover! I know I'm playing like a dingus. No, you don't! Come back! Jeez. Look! No one on my side.
Chow down.
Ha! Your gun. Oh, no one here. Surprise attack. Ah.
Meat and potato.
Get ourselves out of here. There you have it. There's a little bit of combat in this new little testing space. I'm gonna append a little more at the end of this video for those of you who just want to watch a little more bot combat, seeing as you don't have the game and such. Click disable, and that'll just despawn everything. So yeah, so let's jump out of VR and talk about the rest of this update.
Yo! So as I mentioned, this alpha is one of the most
I don't know, untested, we should say, alphas I've ever pushed of the game. And the reason for that is that I have basically raced this past week to recode, reconfigure, and rebuild every single thing in the game, pretty much, minus a couple still disabled scenes, that can cause damage and receive damage. So a bunch of stuff is gonna still be broken in it, or is not going to behave as you might expect it to. I'm sure I have missed things. I'm still sort of doing these sort of cyclical code audits where I search for various terms, search for various classes, write lists, try to figure out every single object in the game that uses that class, and things like that, or every object in the game that has a given script component, because of course there's no button in Unity that lets you just see that for some reason. And in the process, basically heavily modified or recoded large chunks of about, I think it was somewhere in the rounds of like 110 classes in the game when all was said and done. And I've manually retagged collision surfaces on at least 3,000 objects over the past week. You can see the sort of eye twitch happening from it. It was not fun, or a lot of it wasn't. Thankfully, I had a whole bunch of you wonderful folk to hang out with me on my Twitch stream while I was doing a whole bunch of laborious work. If you ever want to do that, by the way, the link to my stream is down in the details for this video. I dev stream like 2 to 3 times a week for a couple hours at a time. It's no constant schedule. It shifts sometime between, basically at the earliest 11 a.m. PST, at the latest like 3 or 4 p.m. PST. So, but yeah, just so you know, there's gonna be broken stuff in this alpha. There's going to be stuff that doesn't take damage, or you spawn it and it just immediately explodes because I haven't updated data on like how much damage is needed to destroy it. So as you find things like that, because I'm sure there's going to be things like that, please post in exactly one place. That's the bug reports section of the Steam community forum for the game. Preface it in brackets with alpha to let me know that it's something with the alpha, and please just try to, don't just give me like one sentence, tell me what's broken, how it's broken, what have you, because this coming week is going to be largely me fixing all of those things, doing all of the things that I missed, and working on the systems that are still not where they need to be. Right now, Melee is super jank. The sounds are gone, the damage dealing isn't quite right for what it should be. I did not get time to ascend it. That needs a full recode to work correctly, especially given just the way the SOSIGs work. So still working on that. My apologies. It will make take and hold and containment a little more difficult, that Melee just isn't as reliable or doesn't do quite the damage that it should. But also importantly, with the new damage and projectile systems, what this has meant is that the balance in take and hold and in containment, and just like fighting in the mini arena, is going to be different. Some of that is permanent, some of it's mutable. So like riot shields are way easier to just break with projectile damage. I'd love to know what you think of that change. It's just because of the move over from the prior broken ballistic system to the current one. Yeah, and just the amount of damage it takes to damage and destroy, pretty much everything has changed. It is more accurate in a relative sense now. The amount of damage that like a 9mm JHP does versus a 5.56 armor penetrator versus yada 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 is way more, it makes way more conceptual sense, represents those cartridges far more realistically, even if overall like everything doesn't penetrate as much as it would in real life, and that's for performance reasons. The whole system is way more stable, controllable, it's way more performant. So I'm really happy with how it's working so far. It's just there's a bunch of stuff that's a bit of a mess right now. So pardon my dust with all of it. So yeah, but that just about does it. Yeah, as I said, let me know if things are broken, and let me know how it feels to fight in the little new testing area in the proving ground with the real equipment of the game. Hopefully I didn't forget to make sure that certain things work. It's a little hard to test you know, the output of over 200 firearms in the time that I had given myself, but I tested enough exemplars that I'm fairly confident that everything should work. Whew, that was a mouthful. But yeah, so there you have it. I hope you have fun with it. I'm going to jump back now, and for those of you who'd just like to see a little more gameplay in the Proving Ground. And yeah, I will see you all, folks, all next week, or on stream during the weekend and week. Peace.
Flanking left. Self-serve, baby. Self-serve, baby. USDA approved.